Everything that echoed. Setting, Atlanta, Georgia, September 2015. The first time Cam met Leila, she was sitting on the floor of a record store crying quietly between the jazz and soul sections. She had headphones on and mascara smudged across her cheeks, mouthing the words to an old Etta James song. Like it was saving her, Cam didn't say anything at first, just crouched nearby and waited until the song ended. Leila looked up, startled. "Do I look crazy?" she asked. Cam shrugged. "You look like someone who still feels. That's rare." They talked for 40 minutes in that aisle. She told him she had schizoaffective disorder and that sometimes her mind played movies she didn't audition for. He told her he had ADHD and anxiety, which made his world feel like a never-ending chase he couldn't quit. Neither of them apologized. He started walking her home after that, just once at first, then every evening. Leila lived with her grandmother, a house that smelled like lavender and distant memories. She had sticky notes all over her room, reminders to take meds, to breathe, to believe herself. Cam noticed how many of them were peeling off, like even the paper had grown tired. By October, they were inseparable. Cam took her to open mic nights and she listened to his poetry like it was gospel. Leila let him read her journal, the one she never let anyone touch. "You make the noise in my head quieter," she said once, "even when you're not talking." But no one lives in light forever. One night, Leila had an episode. She called him at 2:13 a.m., convinced the mirrors were watching her, that her thoughts weren't hers. Cam rushed over, held her hands, repeated her name over and over until her breathing slowed. After, she wept. "You shouldn't have to deal with this. I'm not easy." Cam kissed her forehead. "You're not easy," he said, "but you're worth the wait." For a while they danced around the idea of love like it was too fragile to name. Then, on a bench overlooking the city skyline, Leila said, "If I disappear into myself again, will you come find me?" Cam nodded. "Always, even if I have to walk through your storms barefoot." Winter arrived, therapy sessions doubled, medication changed. There were setbacks, bad days, close calls, but Cam stayed, not because he had to, because he wanted to. On New Year's Eve, they lay on a rooftop wrapped in an old quilt. Fireworks lighting up the sky above them. Leila turned to him and whispered, "Sometimes I think love is the quiet that stays when the voices go." Cam took her hand and replied, "Then I'll be your quiet, for as long as you need." They didn't promise forever. They promised presence. And in a world full of echoes, that was more than enough.
The cold had a way of pressing into your bones. In upstate New York, Lena knew that better than anyone. She wrapped her coat tight, tugged the sleeves over the fading scars on her wrist, and kept her head down as she walked the frozen sidewalk to the community arts center. Her therapist said routine helped, but so far all it helped her feel was empty with structure. She didn't expect to meet someone like Will. He was late to the class, trailing snow behind him, hair a mess, eyes the color of ash and exhaustion. He sat 2 seats away and whispered an apology to no one in particular. When the instructor asked everyone to paint something that felt like home, Lena drew a cracked window while painted a lighthouse in a storm, half of it underwater. After class, he lingered. "I liked yours," he said, nodding toward her canvas. "Sometimes I feel like that too, like I'm watching life from the outside." She looked at him, then really looked. There was something haunted in him, but also something soft, like he knew the weight of silence. Over time, they became routine. Tuesdays and Thursdays painting, coffee after she learned he had been diagnosed with PTSD after a car accident 2 years ago. He still couldn't drive. Loud noises made him flinch. He'd wake up from dreams that left him shaking for hours. She told him about her diagnosis, major depressive disorder with suicidal ideation. She didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't look away. "I don't want you to save me," she said one night, voice small. "I don't want to," he replied. "I just want to be someone who stays." They built slowly, a friendship first, then something warmer. One night in February, he held her hand in the parking lot, both of them quiet. "I don't always feel real," she whispered. He squeezed her hand. "I'll remind you every day if I have to." But healing doesn't follow a script. In March, Lena didn't show up for class or coffee or her therapy appointment. We'll found her 3 days later, sitting alone at the frozen lake, her arms tucked around her knees, eyes glassy. "I didn't want to die," she said. "I just wanted the noise to stop." "I know," he whispered, taking off his coat and wrapping it around her. "But I wish you'd let me in sooner." They sat there for hours, watching the ice crack in slow, delicate patterns. Neither of them said much. They didn't need to. Spring came slowly, like them. Lena began leaving notes for herself on the mirror. "You are allowed to stay. We'll return to driving short distances at first," always with her beside him. They painted murals at the art center together, colorful ones, imperfect and loud and healing. One morning, Lena turned to him in bed and said, "I don't know what forever looks like." He kissed her shoulder, gentle as breath. "Neither do I, but today looks like you, and that's enough." And as the snow melted outside, Lena realized for the first time maybe winter didn't have to win, not if someone was willing to hold it with her.
Even when it rains. Setting, Seattle, Washington, April 2019. Rain tapped gently on the glass ceiling of the Botanical Conservatory, where Callie sat on a bench sketching flowers she couldn't name. She hadn't spoken to anyone outside her therapist in weeks. Her social anxiety had tightened around her chest like barbed wire. But here, surrounded by things that bloomed without permission, she felt less like a stranger to the world. Elijah was crouched across the walkway, photographing a fern as if it were made of gold. He had headphones on, his fingers twitching with every click of the camera when he stood up too fast and dropped his lens cap. It rolled to Callie's feet. She picked it up, hesitated, then handed it over. He smiled at her, wide, honest, slightly crooked. "Thanks, I'm Elijah." She nodded Callie. That was all. But 2 days later, he was there again, so was she, and by the 5th visit, they were walking the garden paths together, trading quiet observations like secrets. Elijah told her he had autism. That noise hurt. That touch could feel like fire, and routine was his religion, but he loved beauty, especially things people ignored: moss, mist, silence. Callie told him about her panic attacks, about how crowds made her disappear, and how speaking out loud sometimes felt like throwing her soul off a cliff. He didn't flinch. They began building a world made of soft corners, weekly coffee at the same quiet cafe, long walks without words, notes left in books at the library. Elijah brought her pressed flowers with handwritten labels. Callie gave him a sketch of the first day they met, him camera in hand, her with the lens cap. One afternoon in May, Callie had a panic attack in the middle of a street fair. The crowd closed in, color blurred into sound, and the world cracked open. She dropped to the pavement, gasping. Elijah found her. Not with panic, but presence. He crouched beside her, back against the wall, placed her hand on his chest. "Breathe with me," he whispered, "just stay here." She did. It took time, but she came back. Later that night, curled on her couch, she cried, "I hate that I fall apart." He traced her knuckles with his fingertip. Then we'll build something that can hold the pieces. In June, they watched the rain fall together from the conservatory bench where it all began. Callie leaned into him, just barely. "I'm still scared," she said. "I am too," he replied. "But look, we're still here." And as the rain softened against the glass above them, so did the space between their hearts, neither fixed but both choosing to stay, even when it rains.